Nathan Judah. I'm here with Wolves reporters Mr. Liam Keane. Liam, Wolves 1, Newcastle 2. Look, we all thought that they were playing well second half and then 2 body blows, and they are body blows. That's 1 point from the first 4 games, 1 win in the last 14 in the Premier League, and we knew this was going to be a tough start, but it's proving very, very difficult.
Yeah, I've described it in the written word as Molyneux was left stunned, and I think we're left stunned really by what we've seen, because it was a first half that was a little bit cagey. There wasn't a lot in it. Newcastle maybe right to the first 5 or 10 minutes, but there wasn't really a lot in the game. And Wolves scored a really good team goal, really, really nice goal. Go 1-0 up, come out in the second half, and they're all over the shop for 5 minutes. Half asleep, struggling to contain Newcastle. But once they got a foot on the ball and they calmed down, Wolves were the better side for 35 minutes or so in that second half.
Arguably having the best period of the whole match.
Arguably having their best periods of the season, up there with maybe the first half against Chelsea. And they hit the post twice. Yeah. They have a couple of efforts that Pope saves. There's one right at the end when they're 2-1 down that Pope saves rather than Cunha. And Wolves are just unable to find that second goal. And you worry about them being punished by not finding it. And they're punished in the most fortuitous, from a Newcastle point of view, way in Shah's goal. Look, Wolves need to come out quicker, they need to close it down quicker, but at the same time, you've described to me like this, and I think I agree with you, it's a bit of a pot shot from Shah, and sometimes you don't mind them from distance, sometimes you're going to get away with that, most times you're going to get away with that, and it takes an unfortunate, and I don't blame Dawson for his role, but it takes an unfortunate deflection off Dawson as he tries to get ahead on it, and it hits the top corner, and from there Wolves don't really recover.
No, they don't.
And it's that 5 minutes between the 2 goals where Wolves are struggling for any kind of control or grip on the game, and Barnes shrugs off a challenge from Doherty, cuts inside and scores a wonderful winner. It's really unfortunate from Wolves' point of view, the manner in which they've scored the goals, but they've not taken their chances when they had the opportunity, and ultimately they've lost the game.
And that's it, like you say, when they haven't scored that second goal, and then you just saw them, and we both said at that time, they're getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and inviting that pressure. Yeah, you don't mind Shah. I mean, look, Shah's scored some great goals from distance at the same time, but it is very fortuitous. At the same time, when you're inviting that pressure, when you don't know, or you've forgotten kind of how to win, how to close a game out, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen time and time again. We're in the Premier League. If you don't seal a game, then you're going to have quality players coming at you, and Wolves have got to do better, because the fans are stunned going out there. You're stunned, I'm stunned. I don't think Wolves did enough to win the game today, but they definitely do enough to lose it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a harsh loss from Wolves' point of view. I think had they won it, I think we'd be reflecting on a pretty decent Wolves performance, but you are right in that they didn't dominate the game enough to say that was a categorical win in Wolves for Wolves today. But we're sat there writing the intros almost saying Wolves have got their first win of the season, because albeit they were getting deeper, Newcastle weren't offering a massive threat, and Wolves looked like they were going to see the game out, and it is that one fortuitous moment with Shah and Dawson and that first goal, and it's a calamitous 5 minutes for Wolves in which Barnes goes and wins it for them. And as I say, look, they almost got an equaliser. Cunha has a volley that Pope gets fingertips to, and it's a wonderful save. Hit the post twice. I know Newcastle did as well once, but Wolves hit the post twice. Pope makes 2 or 3 really good saves. On a different day, Wolves win that, and they are unlucky. But you also have to learn and know how to see a game out. And Wolves just crumbled under a little bit of pressure, and that's the most frustrating moment and most frustrating thing about that game, because Wolves, the 3 points were there. The 3 points were in Wolves' hands, ready to take, and they threw it away.
And like you say, if they do win that game and it's 4 points from the first 4 games, you think, okay, that's fine. They move up 4 or 5 places in the league, and you think, okay, well, they're having a difficult start to the season, but that's fine. 1 point from 4, and it's a completely different story. At the same time, let's look at a few of the positives today, and we're doing more on the Keane and Judah show, some more positives and negatives. I thought Andre had an excellent full debut, was very, very positive, and actually, I only saw him for the last few minutes, but I actually thought Carlos Forbes was very useful as well, a bit fiery, but at the same time, it's the same. I thought Yossi Mosquera showed a good game as well, Ryan Aït-Nouri, but there were a few performances that just need to raise the levels, because they have started the season poorly, individually.
And there's a few players you can mention. Larson gets the assist, doesn't he? Doesn't have a particularly great game. Like, we'll go into more detail, as you say, tomorrow with the Keane and Judah show, but Nelson Semedo had a very good first game back from his suspension against Forest, and then really struggled today. And there are other players you can go through, but Wolves, and you pointed this out in the first half on social media, that Wolves just seemed a bit disjointed, didn't they? I didn't quite know how Wolves were trying to win. I didn't quite know how Wolves were trying to play. I couldn't quite figure it out.
What did you think of the formation today? And Mario Lemina was obviously, sometimes the highest person up the pitch.
Yeah, it started as a 4-2-3-1. Cunha in behind Larson, so very much the same formation. But Bellegarde on the left, not the right, and Lemina out on the right. And he's played there a little bit for Wolves, but it's obviously unusual to say the least. He then switches, comes more as a 10. Cunha goes out on the right, and it worked. And actually, the goal that Wolves scored was really from those two switching. Cunha picks the ball, plays Larson, the cross comes in, and Lemina arrives in the box for the goal. So I'm not necessarily criticising that, but you've got so many attacking players on that bench, and you're trying to have maybe a bit more control over the game, get your best players in there. But I don't understand why that's not a more of a straight 4-3-3. Right. And I suppose it did become that in some regards with Lemina and Cunha switching, but Lemina was very high at the pitch, as you say, and I don't think that's where he's best suited. I don't think he's necessarily a 6, but he's definitely not a 10.
No.
And I think that's pretty obvious. For me, he's an 8. He's a box-to-box midfielder.
Well, Mario Lemina was one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the Premier League last year in the purple spell that he had. That's where you want him playing. But I guess when you sign a lot of central midfielders, and you've got to fit. And Gary Neal said on Friday he wants his best players, as many best players on the pitch as possible. If that means them playing out of position slightly, is that the payoff? Is that the right payoff? You've got a lot of players there, a lot of wingers there today that will be disappointed not to be starting, and I'm sure they will get an opportunity on Wednesday now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wholesale changes, I really do. But at the same time...
Is this a hole in the head game, really?
I completely agree. Look, Wolves want to win. They need a win. Obviously, Premier League would be a priority. But at the same time, it's not a priority to go to that game and play your strongest 11, especially with Villa coming at the weekend. And it's a Wednesday to Saturday turnaround as well. It's not an easy turnaround. I think it would be wholesale changes. I think we're looking at 9 or 10 changes, to be honest. Perhaps 11, but I think 1 or 2 players will keep their place. Probably at centre-back with Totti out at the moment. And there'll be 1 or 2, I'm sure, that will keep their spot. But and Wolves have got a relatively deep squad at the moment. Their bench looks strong today. They've just been able to make best use of it towards the end of the game. But they didn't have to make use of it, because by the 75th minute, before that Shah goal goes in, Wolves are in control of the game, albeit getting slightly deeper. But the 3 points are there. And I know it's fortuitous from a Newcastle point of view, but it's so frustrating that the chance and the opportunity to win that game is in front of you, and it's swept away.
I mean, look, after the 8 game weeks, then things get a little bit better. But the last thing you want to be doing with these games coming in, look, they are difficult. I know they've got to go to Bournemouth as well, which Bournemouth are playing some great football at the moment. We're better side against Chelsea yesterday. You don't want to be 1 point or 2 points from 8, because then you are adrift, and you're battling to make up that ground. It's difficult, and Gary Neal's got a lot of decisions to make, and a lot of difficult decisions to make, hasn't he, coming up?
Yeah, Villa away, Liverpool at home, Brentford away, then the international break, I believe it is, and then Man City here. That's not an easy 4 games, and obviously Newcastle adding to that, and the previous 3 makes it a very tough 8-game start to the season. You have to probably get something from a home game, and you probably have to get something away at Brentford. Villa, being a derby, obviously Wolves are more than capable of going there and get something, but the way that they're playing and how far they've pushed on means that Wolves are certainly going to be underdogs in that game. Wolves need something for these games. Yes, the run after the City game up until Christmas is on paper good, but you can't tell me that Wolves are guaranteed to go to any Premier League game this season and win it. It's what happens on the pitch on the day. Wolves have to get something in these next few games. I don't think Gary Neal is going to be under pressure. I think it's very premature to be talking about that right now, I really do. But you can't just say, these 4 games are going to be tough, let's just wait for the next 7. No, you have to get something now.
And the way that I'd phrase it is that Wolves, it's way too early to say, Wolves are in trouble, Wolves are in a relegation battle, but what you can say 100% is there are a lot of warning signs there at this moment in time, and they've got to be put right quickly.
Yeah, the positives that Gary Neal will take from that is that in some part performances have been there within games. I don't think they put a perfect performance together yet in any of these games, but there have been moments in games, and there was a long period in this game where Wolves were the better side. That's where he'll take the positives from, but they have to have a bit more nous, a bit more bottom, a bit more character, just to see the game out.
For sure.
And I know they've been very unlucky in the way that the goals have been conceded. But they, in some way, particularly the second one, were avoidable to some degree, and that's the most frustrating part.
Wolves 1, Newcastle 2. For the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressthestar.com.